Alright, fuck the intro, let's get right into the video. Today we're talking about clutching in Rainbow Six Siege. Hope you guys enjoy. The gameplay in the background is just some YouTube gameplay I have. There's not gonna be no audio, it's just general gameplay so you can listen to my voice. There's not gonna be any text or anything on the screen, basically. So the first thing we'll talk about is the mentality. First thing to realize is that you're not expected to clutch unless you put yourself into a situation where it's possible. Like, for example, if you make it to a one-on-one and then you choke the one-on-one, then of course your team's going to be annoyed at you at that point. But if you're in a 1-3 and above, 1 versus 2 is people kind of, semi-expected, but if you're in a 1 versus 3 and above, people don't expect like a miraculous clutch unless you're significantly better than the other team. Okay, so take that in mind into consideration when you're clutching, and don't think that if you don't clutch it, then your team's just going to be like really mad at you. So the next thing is, the worst thing you can do is nothing. So I see a lot of players when they're in 1 versus 5 and they do nothing. They essentially do nothing. They just wait for the enemy to reposition. They wait for the enemy to move into their crosshair, and they think that just by waiting that they'll clutch. And that's just not the case. You have to proactively hunt for enemies, proactively play the objective. If you wait for things to happen, all that's going to happen is the enemy will get into the best positions they can be, and then when you try and win the gunfights, you're going to lose. The next thing is, notice that Siege is a round-based game, so unless it's overtime or you're about to lose a game in the situation, don't feel pressured when clutching at all, because you have other opportunities to win the game. Obviously clutching will help you, but don't expect anything like that. And the final thing we want to talk about for mentality is the just do it mentality. The thing to remember, like I said before, if you do nothing, then you're going to get nothing out of the situation. If you at least try, if you play your positions, do whatever you can, then you tried. But by not trying, you essentially give up straight away. So just do it. So now we're going to talk about these are just general tips you can apply to any games, and then we'll talk about the specific Siege ones after. So the general one is having teammates with callouts or on cameras or on drones is really helpful, because then you get more intelligence, because of course you're only one person when you're trying to clutch. If you're on offense, you can throw out a drone, and then your teammate can watch the drone, for example, watch the flank. Claymores and utility are really important. So on offense especially, and even on defense, nitrocells, your smokes, gas canisters, use your utility to win you the round, essentially. And also don't save the utility. For example, if you're smoke and there's 2 minutes left, for example, and you're at 1v3, if you die, then you can't use the smoke grenades. So essentially, use the smoke grenades to avoid dying. Use your equipment that you have, because especially something like flashbangs or defense on the nitrocell, use them, because if you don't use them, then you don't get, like, saying that, oh, I need to save my nitrocell for a 1v1 Montagne. If you don't use your nitrocell to get you to that position, then that 1v1 Montagne never happens. That's the proper explanation I wanted. Make sure you use your stuff to get the kills, because just getting the kills, lowering the numbers matters. Obviously, using your impact grenades, flash grenades, crouching, proning, any advantage you can get in gunfights and situations is going to help you. Another thing is, when you're clutching, getting the first 1 to 2 kills is crucial. Firstly, it limits the number of enemies you have to deal with, and more importantly, it kind of gets you in this mentality of, I can clutch. And you'll see that when you start clutching yourself, as soon as you kill a couple of enemies, you're thinking, actually, I can do this now. It was once a 1v5, now it's just a 1v2. This is really possible, just by getting a couple of kills to begin with. And also, I'll get into this later, you want to proactively hunt the enemies down and play for those particular kills, because by doing that, you stop the enemy from getting comfortable and playing the positions they want to play. Okay, so now we're going on to more siege specific things. I'm going to talk about time. The first thing to notice when you're clutching is you have time. So, to an extent, as you heard me earlier, you heard that you need to push the enemy, you need to get the kills. That's true. But if you rush in and go full YOLO and try and kill the whole team, it's not going to work. You need to use the time that you have, and if you've got time to drone for that crucial 1v1 or 1v2, then drone. If you've got time on defense to rotate out of a position, then do it. Those are just like small examples. But what I'm saying is, if you've got 2 minutes left on the clock and you're on defense, unless the enemy team plants the bomb, or if it starts securing the area, that's different. But up until that point, you have time to work flanks, or work a different position, or play for picks, for example. Contrary to that, you need to focus on the objective. If you let the enemy plant the bomb in a 1v5, then you pretty much lost just from that. So the priority in bomb is to always stop the plant, to an extent. Like if it's a 1 versus 1, then you can possibly let them plant the bomb. But once up until that point, the enemy team is on the timer on defense. As soon as they plant the bomb, then you're on a timer. So that's why it's important to stop the plant. Secure the area is kind of similar. You want the enemy team to be forced to push, down to the time limit. So being smoke obviously can help you narrow the time down. But yeah, focus on the objective, because if you don't, then the enemy team will just play the objective. Like if you're playing hostage, there's no point roaming really far away and hoping to clutch, because the enemy team will just pull the hostage out of the room, or they'll just plant the bombs, secure the area, for example. The next thing is similar to time, is in certain situations you're putting in, like, for example, 1v5, 30 seconds left, and you've got to defuse the bomb. Like I said before, the worst thing you can do is do nothing. So by simply just doing it, just going for it, rushing in, trying to challenge multiple gunfights at the same time, then going for the defuse with 7 seconds left, just by trying that is much better than, oh no, this is 1v5, 30 seconds left, it's going to be impossible. It's impossible, back to the previous point, like, you're at a complete disadvantage, no one's expecting it to happen, but by sitting around for 10 seconds, leaving it at 20 seconds left, and then moving, all you're doing is making it harder. When you're delaying the clutch, all you do is make it harder for yourself, so it's really important to remember that. Doing stuff straight away is going to help you the most. It's going to help you the most. If you take anything from this video, when you're trying to clutch, do stuff as soon as you think. Basically, like, take every advantage and just go, because if you don't have a lot of time, you need to get it going. Especially if you're 1 versus 5, just go. Okay, so now we'll talk about gunfights. Gunfights in 1v5s and below are kind of specific, because in Siege you don't have health regen. So you don't start each gunfight on an equal basis, especially if you've taken damage during the round, and you will most likely take damage from one of the 5 people when you're trying to clutch the 1v5. Obviously this clutching applies to like 1v3s, 1v2s, but we're talking about 1v5s here technically. So you want to reduce the enemy numbers down as soon as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to kill 1 or 2 of them like as soon as you can. Make it 1v2, make it 1v3. And then it's going to make your job a lot easier. You're going to have less enemies with less angles that are possibly looking at you, and you're going to have less people to worry about in general. That's what you want to do. This goes back to playing the objective. You want to get like 2 or 3 kills, and then force them to have to plant the bomb, or force them to have to push the secure area, or force them to have to push the hostage. Because by simply letting them have their way with you, at some point they'll just swarm together. So for example, that's quite a good example actually. So if you're in a 1v5, if you let them drone you and let them know where you are, then they'll just take you from 5 different angles. You gotta kill them. You gotta kill them, reduce the number of angles they'll have. Obviously you want to limit the gunfights to 1v1s whenever possible. Obviously keep in mind the objective and the overall goal of the game. If you can make the gunfights 1v1s instead of having 5 guns aimed at you, then you're going to have a lot more success when trying to clutch. And of course, if it's not already obvious, you want a headshot, because you're going to have limited health. You're going to have to headshot to ensure the kills. So headshotting is pretty much, I mean, headshot is recommended anyway, but in a one-on-one gunfight against like an Ash, then and you're on, for example, like 60 health, Ash is going to win most of the time if you don't headshot. So always headshot, regardless of the weapon you have in the situation. Unless of course you got a shotgun, but you know you absolutely have to. If you're missing headshots, then you're going to get out DPS'd by a lot of assault rifles. So you know, essentially do that, and of course pre-aim all the common spots. In the case of offense, it's the same system. You want the pre-aim spots, you want a headshot, because again, they might have like a smoke, or you might get tagged a little bit by Nitrocell. You need to headshot people. I mean, that pretty much concludes the video. I just see a lot of people clutching. The main thing I want you to take away from this is just go for it, because also by going for clutches, then you'll see, when you fail to clutch, you'll see where you went wrong, and yeah, so you'll learn more for next time. If you ever get in a similar situation again, you'll know how to clutch. And I want to also state that it's not easy at all, but yeah, just go for it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.